What's up, guys? So today is Monday, August the 27th. Y'all, I have something to tell y'all. Oh my goodness. I actually resigned. I quit my job. I cannot believe I quit my job. I still can't believe I quit my job. I actually turned in a 2-week notice. Hold on, this is my recruiter. Hello, this is Desiree. Hi, how are you? I know. I know. Listen, I was calling about the rec that's still out there. That is for the part-time position, right? Right. How about I need one more per diem? Yeah, but do you still have to go through the whole rigmarole of getting it approved and all that stuff? Uh, s- well, I lost someone. Yeah, yeah, she left. She went to another hospital out in Temecula. Yeah, so she left, and I have to get her replaced. And guess what? My last day is the 7th. Yeah, girl, I resigned. I know, I'm resigned. No. Mm-hmm. I tried though. I tried. It just got to the point where I was like, I can't take it anymore. And let me tell you something. I crossed California line with $50 to my name, and I was not afraid. God gave me this job, but He is not the author of confusion and chaos. And girl, girl. But I just kept feeling like in my spirit it was time for me to quit. I kept saying, because I held on to it as long as I could. I kept saying, I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to, because it's my first job in California. And I kept saying, no, I don't want to lose it. I don't want to give up my job because I don't have a job to go to. Yeah. Girls, change is going to be excellent in this case. You have no idea what I've been through. Yeah, it's okay. Things happen for a reason, and you can't be afraid of change. Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, I was like, oh my god, oh my god. I just turned my resignation. They don't know where to go. What am I crazy? They do. Amen. Yeah. Well, I have a candidate in mind for the per diem position. How fast can we get that up? Yes. You have what time? It's external. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Oh, I will. Okay. All right. Bye bye. Okay, that was my recruiter. I'm trying to actually get a person hired in before I leave because I promised them I would. Um, yeah, but yeah, I resigned my job. I haven't even told Shane yet. I probably should call him. But I'm telling y'all before I tell Shane. But I'm gonna call him um, and let him know before I actually post this. But God is not the author of confusion or chaos. And I know some people are like, well, why are you quitting your job with no job? I have to trust. I have to trust and believe it's going to be okay. I crossed the California line with $50. I wound up sleeping in a car. God protected me, guided me, and sheltered me through that journey. So I know He'll do the same through this one. But y'all, I reported her twice. One time when she put me on the final, and last year for hearsay, I appealed the final, and I went to the VP, and he let it stand. And I told him, I said, she's doing this in retaliation. He let it stand, but it's his job to believe that he has the right person in place. He, I guess it would be beyond him to believe that she would lie to get someone on the final so she could fire them. But Let me tell y'all this. This woman attempted to fire me before putting me on that final. She attempted to fire me, but in order to fire someone within this organization, it has to be signed off by her boss and the CEO of the hospital, and neither one of them was signed off, and the director of HR, and nobody was signed off on it. So she brought me back and put me on the final for hearsay. My first ever write-up, my first ever write-up in my career. I got a final. But there is someone in here who violated a system level HIPAA, and she put them on unwritten. And this is the same woman that said, I feel like I have to trick people so I can fire them. No. And this is the thing, the email that the correspondence between us on my boss and I on the 3rd of November, where she told me not to hire street people, and then asked me had I thought about leaving the company yet because she got me on a final. I'm not going to be able to find a job in here. I took that email directly to the HR director. And she said, well, don't email her anymore, and let's mold this over, because I'm a molder, and I want to mold this over, and let's really think about this and how we can address this and resolve it. So let's mold it over, and then we'll revisit the issue. I'm going to send out a meeting request, and we're going to come back together and sit down and talk about this. That was never done. So not once, but twice, I entrusted them to protect me from this person, and they did nothing. She's coming back from leave on the 4th. She's coming back from leave on the 4th. By now, she knows that I filed a complaint against her. What do y'all think she's going to do? She's going to make a beeline for me. And once she does, I'm not going to want to take it. She's very offensive. And when you call her, when you address her in regards to her choice and style of communication and the things that she says and the perception she's leaving, she'll say, oh, I didn't say that. That's not in my character. Oh, I don't recall that. So on November the 3rd, when we had this conversation about don't hire street people and have you thought about quitting, I immediately hung up the phone and I emailed her in regards to the conversation. Let me tell y'all something. It is illegal to identify a group and say, don't hire that group because of this. Tell me something. What does street people mean? What does that mean? The fact that you say, don't hire street people because I'm not confrontational, but she is. She's passive aggressive. She's not upfront aggressive, but she is very passive aggressive, and she practices retaliatory behavior. So if you don't say, yes, okay, I agree, you can get on the wrong side of her. And a lot of things that she's done, said, and the behavior that I've experienced from her and watching of her is very inappropriate. But I've never had a grounds to defend myself because she's been with the organization for so long and her title is higher than mine. I've always felt helpless, and even to defend myself and my staff, it's like, oh well. Now with my staff is different because she could say, well, do this, do this, do this, and if she doesn't email me, it gives me an indication that she's wanting me to do something that she doesn't want to be held accountable for. If you cannot put in an email format a directive, then I'm not going to do it. Just like when I first started here, she wanted me to work the front line or on the board, switchboard, for 18 hours a week. Now, as a supervisor, how do you split that time unless there's a lead in place? But I'm not a lead, I'm a supervisor. So I didn't understand how I was going to get my admin work done and work the front line. But ultimately what she wanted me to do was not work my per diem staff, which a per diem is a in-house temp. We only use them when we need them. They don't qualify for benefits. They don't accrue PTO. So we use them as fillers. So if one of the staff want to take a vacation, I'll say, can you work this week, these days, or what have you. So she wanted me to work their hours, lay them off technically or theoretically without laying them off, and not pay them, and then me work their hours to show how we can run this department under budget. It wasn't nothing ethical about that. It wasn't ethical at all. So I know when I was first here, I was like, I don't understand how I'm going to work these hours. And then she kept saying, well, don't work the hours where they're full-timers or part-timers. You need to work the per diem hours, which means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shifts that are allocated for per diems. And they are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So which means that I would have had, and those Thursday, Friday, Saturday hours are 6-hour shifts. So one day she said, well, you're probably going to have to work the afternoon shifts because those are the shortest shifts. No. What you want me to do is displace a per diem, and I'm not willing to do it. It's unethical. There's nothing right about it. And every time she asked me, well, have you scheduled yourself to be on the phone? I would say no. Have you scheduled yourself to be on the phone? No. Have you scheduled yourself to be on the phone? No. And then she would say, oh, the VP wants to know if you schedule yourself to be on the phone. No. So now, if you're starting to use titles to try to get the results that you want, but you're still not emailing me, something is really wrong. So I didn't get on the phone. I kept telling her no. I didn't have the time. I was still trying to learn the position. And she never emailed me, which let me know that there was something seriously wrong with the request that she was asking me. But yeah, guys, I actually resigned, and my resignation letter, is a doozy. So in my resignation letter, I put that she kept contacting me the first 2 weeks of my leave when I was out on stress leave, medical leave. I also put about the email that we had a conversation, and she told me not to hire street people, and she said, have you thought about looking for a job somewhere else? I put that in my resignation letter, and I told them we had an initial conversation, and I emailed her about it. She didn't reply to saying that she had me on the final and I should be looking for a job somewhere else, but she did hire to respond to the street people one. The reason I put that in the resignation is because I felt like she would try to skate around it, which I've seen her do. When this woman put me on the final, I sat and watched her and listened to her willing to lie to get the results, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's lying. And I'll never forget when the supervisor, because I asked for a copy of the final, and I put on the final, this is due to retaliation. When I asked for a copy of the final and the HR supervisor left the office to go get it, the conference room that we were in, I looked there and I said, I don't trust you anymore. I don't trust you. I do not trust you. I just sat there and watched this woman lie to get a result that she wanted, which prevented me from trusting her, believing in the organization and what it stood for. Because this organization says they are big on diversity and mutual respect. Well, she stands for none of that. And I remember there were times where I would consult other managers and say, listen, how do I maneuver around this person? How do I navigate around her? And they would say, oh, we know she's a bad manager, but I was like, I'm done. She's coming back on the 4th, and my last day is going to be the 7th. I know she triggered me. She came up here for something one day last week, and she triggered me real bad to the point where I had a migraine I couldn't get rid of. Then I felt myself having a meltdown because I felt like I was helpless and I didn't have a platform to defend myself. I know I currently have documentation now, but the years that I had to go through this and be subjected to her, and even some of my staff, was a bit much, and it was overwhelming. So I am free falling into faith again, just like when I came to California. I have to trust and believe that God wouldn't put me in a situation or a position where I'm not going to be okay. Let me tell y'all something. He sees before we know. And I knew it was time for me to resign when I started saying, I don't even care. I don't care. I don't care. And what I didn't care about was the quality of work I was putting out. When I stopped caring about the quality of work that I was putting out and how I interacted with people and what I said to people, I knew it was time to go. And what I mean by that is I started telling everybody what I was going through. And when you're in corporate, that's not a good thing. You have to handle your stuff privately. Everybody is not privy, shouldn't be privy to your journey. And anybody who was willing to listen, I was like, oh yeah, she did this, she said this, she did this and that. And I knew, I said, you know what, Des, it's time for you to go. Enough is enough. So now I told y'all, now I have to tell Shane. So this will be one of the last times I will be in this office. One of the last times. Next week is Friday next week is my last week. I did payroll today. This is actually the last time I'll do payroll for this department in this organization. And it is what it is. I deserve better than I've gotten. I deserve a lot better. I try to show that no matter what, I want it to be positive. But when you're met with negativity and insubordination and intimidation and manipulation and lying, it's hard to remain positive. And I've been through this for 4 years. Enough. I'll talk to you guys later. Sometimes you can't be afraid to let go. And I'm releasing it.